Hey Capricorn, I need to tell you something important about what I'm seeing in your energy right now. When I sat down to pull these cards for you, I felt this massive shift happening, like the universe has been working behind the scenes to reorganize everything in your life. This reading is for entertainment purposes, and I'm interpreting the energy I see in these cards, so take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But Capricorn, what I'm picking up is that you've been through something heavy, something that required you to completely reassess everything you thought you knew about your path, your worth, and what you're capable of. The energy coming through is telling me that a major clearing is happening in your life right now. And with that clearing comes this profound healing that's going to open doors you didn't even know existed. From what I'm sensing, you're not just recovering from something, you're stepping into a completely different version of yourself, one that's more aligned with your true power and purpose. The cards are showing me that this isn't just about things getting better, it's about you finally receiving the prosperity and recognition you've been working toward for so long, often in silence and without acknowledgement. I'm getting this strong sense that whatever you've been carrying, whatever burden has been weighing you down, the universe is saying it's time to put it down now because what's coming requires your hands to be free and your spirit to be light. Let me start with this first card because when it appeared, I literally felt the energy in the room shift. The chariot came through with such force and determination. And Capricorn, this card is telling me that you're about to experience a massive victory, but not the kind that just falls into your lap. What I'm seeing here is that you've been fighting for something, pushing forward even when every logical reason told you to give up. And the chariot is confirmation that your determination is about to pay off in a major way. The imagery shows a warrior moving forward with absolute focus, pulled by opposing forces that have finally come into alignment under their command. This tells me you've been dealing with conflicting energies in your life, maybe external pressures versus internal desires, or perhaps practical responsibilities versus soul-calling dreams. And what's happening now is that you're learning to harness both of these energies instead of being torn apart by them. The chariot doesn't show up for people who are passively waiting for life to happen. It shows up for people who have decided to take control and steer their life in the direction they want it to go, regardless of obstacles. From what I'm interpreting, this is about you moving forward with a level of confidence and clarity you haven't felt in a long time, maybe ever. In practical terms, this could manifest as finally getting that career breakthrough you've been working toward, launching that project you've been planning, or making a bold move in your personal life that you've been too cautious to make before. What's really interesting here is that the chariot often appears when someone has done the internal work necessary to claim external success, meaning you've already prepared yourself for this victory through the challenges you've faced. I'm getting this sense that you've been in training, essentially, and now it's time for the actual race. The emotional landscape this card reveals is one of focused determination mixed with cautious optimism, like you can feel the momentum building, but you're not letting yourself fully believe it yet because you've been disappointed before. What the cards want you to know is that this time is different. This time you're not hoping for success. You're creating it through aligned action and unwavering focus. The guidance here is to trust your ability to navigate whatever comes, to stay in your lane and keep your eyes on your destination, and to remember that you've already overcome the hardest part, which was deciding to fight for yourself and your dreams in the first place. The energy shifted when I pulled the next card, and Queen of Cups appeared with this nurturing, emotionally intelligent energy that feels like a direct message about healing. Capricorn, you're known for being strong, practical, and capable of handling anything, but what I'm picking up is that you've been handling things at the expense of your emotional well-being, and this queen is here to tell you that true strength includes emotional awareness and self-compassion. The imagery shows a figure holding a cup with deep reverence, someone who understands that emotions are not weaknesses to be controlled, but messages to be honored. This is significant because it suggests that part of your healing journey involves reconnecting with your emotional truth, allowing yourself to feel things fully instead of pushing through them with sheer willpower. What this reveals about your situation is that you've been operating from a place of emotional depletion, giving to others, showing up for responsibilities, maintaining your composure, but internally, you've been running on empty. The Queen of Cups is showing me that you're being called to fill your own cup first, to prioritize your emotional needs, and to recognize that vulnerability is actually a form of power, not a liability. In real life, this might look like finally admitting to yourself that you need help or support, setting boundaries with people who drain your energy, or simply allowing yourself to rest without guilt. I'm seeing scenarios where you've been the strong one for everyone else, the person people lean on, and now the universe is creating space for you to receive that same support and tenderness. The psychological insight here is profound because Capricorn energy naturally gravitates toward achievement and productivity, but this queen is asking you to value your emotional state as much as your accomplishments. What's happening beneath the surface is a recalibration of what success actually means to you, shifting from external validation to internal peace. My intuition is telling me that as you heal emotionally, as you allow yourself to process feelings you've been storing away, you'll actually become more effective in all areas of your life because you'll be operating from fullness rather than depletion. The wisdom this card offers is that you don't have to choose between being strong and being soft, between achieving and feeling, between success and sensitivity. The real power move is integrating all aspects of yourself, including the parts that feel, that need, that long for connection and tenderness. How to work with this energy is to create daily practices that honor your emotional self, whether that's journaling, therapy, creative expression, or simply sitting with your feelings instead of immediately trying to fix or dismiss them. Something clicked when I saw this next card because 10 of Pentacles came through and suddenly the whole reading started making sense. This card is about legacy, abundance, and the kind of prosperity that doesn't just benefit you, but creates security and stability for generations. Capricorn, what I'm seeing here is that the work you've been doing, the sacrifices you've made, the long hours, and the delayed gratification, all of it is about to culminate in something substantial and lasting. The imagery shows a scene of established wealth and family security, with structures that have been built to last, and this tells me you're not just headed toward temporary success, but towards something that fundamentally changes your life circumstances. This connects directly to what we saw with the chariot because that forward movement isn't leading you toward a small win. It's leading you toward the kind of abundance that transforms everything. From what I'm interpreting, this could manifest as a significant financial breakthrough, a career achievement that establishes you in your field, property or investments that create long-term security, or even the creation of something that becomes your legacy. What's really powerful here is that the 10 of Pentacles often represents the completion of a cycle, meaning you've been building toward this for a long time, possibly years, and you're finally reaching the point where all those efforts pay off in a tangible, substantial way. In practical scenarios, I'm seeing promotions that come with significant salary increases, business ventures that finally become profitable, inheritances or financial windfalls that provide security, or the achievement of goals you set for yourself years ago that seemed impossible at the time. The emotional significance of this card cannot be overstated because for someone who has worked as hard as you have, who has sacrificed immediate pleasures for future stability, actually receiving the rewards of that dedication is deeply validating. What's happening internally is that you're starting to believe you actually deserve this abundance, that it's not just luck, but the natural result of your commitment and integrity. The psychological shift here is moving from survival mode to thriving mode, from constantly worrying about stability to actually experiencing it. What I need you to really hear is that this isn't just about money or material success, though those are included. It's about finally feeling secure enough to relax, to enjoy your life, to share your abundance with people you love. The 10 of Pentacles represents the dream you've been chasing, the reason you kept going when things were hard, and the cards are telling me it's closer than you think. The guidance here is to prepare yourself mentally and emotionally to receive this level of abundance, to clear any subconscious blocks that might make you sabotage your success, and to start envisioning what your life looks like when you're not just surviving, but genuinely prospering. When judgment appeared, I immediately felt this energy of awakening and rebirth, like you're being called to rise up into a completely new version of yourself. This is one of the most powerful cards in the deck, Capricorn, and it doesn't show up for minor changes or small improvements. It shows up when someone is experiencing a fundamental transformation of identity and purpose. The imagery depicts figures rising up in response to a divine call, people who are being given a second chance, a fresh start, an opportunity to transcend their previous limitations. What this reveals is that you're in the middle of a major spiritual and personal awakening, where you're seeing yourself, your life, and your purpose with completely new eyes. This connects to the healing that's coming because true healing isn't just about recovering from wounds. It's about becoming someone who can no longer be wounded in the same ways because you've fundamentally changed. From what I'm sensing, you're being asked to release old identities that no longer serve you. Old stories about who you are and what you're capable of. Old limitations that were placed on you by others or by your own fear. The Judgment card is essentially a cosmic wake-up call, and what I'm picking up is that you're ready to answer it, ready to step into the person you were always meant to be before life, trauma, or conditioning told you to be smaller. In real life, this manifests as profound realizations about your worth, sudden clarity about your path, the courage to make changes you've been avoiding, or the willingness to forgive yourself and others so you can move forward unencumbered. I'm seeing scenarios where you suddenly understand why certain things happened, where painful experiences finally make sense as necessary preparation for where you're going, where you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as a powerful creator of your reality. The emotional landscape here is intense because awakening isn't always comfortable. It requires you to confront truths you've been avoiding, to admit where you've been complicit in your own suffering, to take responsibility for your choices moving forward. What's happening beneath the surface is a complete recalibration of your value system, your priorities, your understanding of what matters. My intuition is screaming that this awakening is directly connected to your prosperity because once you truly know your worth, once you fully step into your power, the universe has no choice but to match that energy with abundant opportunities. The wisdom of judgment is that you cannot skip this phase. You cannot bypass the awakening and just get to the good stuff, because the good stuff only comes to the version of you that's been transformed by this process. How to work with this energy is to lean into the discomfort of growth, to be willing to shed old skins even when it's scary, to trust that what's dying needs to die so what's being born can fully emerge. The Nine of Pentacles came through next, and this card made me smile because it's such a clear message about independence, self-sufficiency, and the ability to create your own paradise through discipline and dedication. Capricorn, this is your energy in its highest expression. The imagery shows someone standing alone in a lush garden they've cultivated themselves, surrounded by beauty and abundance they've earned through their own efforts, completely comfortable in their solitude because it's a chosen solitude of empowerment, not a lonely solitude of isolation. What I'm interpreting here is that you're being shown a vision of your future self, someone who has achieved a level of success and security that allows them to live life on their own terms, beholden to no one, dependent on nothing but their own capabilities. This is significant because it suggests that the prosperity coming your way isn't going to make you dependent on external sources, it's going to give you even more freedom and autonomy. From what I'm seeing, this card is confirming that you have everything you need within yourself to create the life you want, that you don't need anyone to save you or complete you or give you permission to thrive. In practical terms, this could manifest as financial independence that gives you choices, a career or business that allows you to work on your own terms, or a lifestyle that reflects your values and preferences without compromise. I'm seeing you in situations where you're making decisions based purely on what you want, not on what you need or what others expect. And that shift from need to want is everything. The Nine of Pentacles often appears for people who have worked incredibly hard for a long time and are finally reaching the point where they can enjoy the fruits of their labor, where effort transforms into ease, where the garden they've been tending is finally in full bloom. What's really interesting is the connection to Queen of Cups we saw earlier, because this nine shows that you can be emotionally fulfilled and practically successful, that self-sufficiency doesn't mean emotional isolation. The psychological dimension here is about trusting yourself completely, knowing that you can handle whatever comes, that you've proven your resilience and capability time and again. What the cards want you to know is that this independence you're cultivating isn't selfish or cold. It's actually the foundation for healthy relationships and genuine success, because you're coming from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. The guidance is to continue investing in yourself, your skills, your well-being, your dreams, because every bit of effort you put into your own development pays dividends that compound over time. Queen of Swords appeared, and the energy became sharper, more clear-cutting and truthful. This queen doesn't mess around, Capricorn, and her presence in your reading tells me that part of your transformation involves developing the courage to speak and live your truth without apology. The imagery shows a figure seated in judgment, sword raised, clouds gathering, someone who has experienced pain and emerged with clarity instead of bitterness, wisdom instead of resentment. What this reveals is that you've been through situations that could have made you hard and closed off, but instead, you're becoming discerning and boundaried, which is completely different. This queen knows the difference between being cruel and being honest, between protecting herself and punishing others, between wisdom and cynicism. From what I'm sensing, you're being called to use your voice more powerfully, to say the things that need to be said even when they're uncomfortable, to stop protecting other people's feelings at the expense of your own truth. In real life, this might look like having difficult conversations you've been avoiding, setting firm boundaries with people who take advantage of your kindness, or speaking up about your needs and expectations in relationships and professional situations. I'm seeing scenarios where you've tolerated disrespect or mediocrity because you didn't want to seem difficult or demanding, and this queen is saying those days are over. The psychological insight here is that true kindness includes honesty, that letting people continue harmful behaviors isn't actually loving or supportive, it's enabling. What's happening beneath the surface is that you're developing the kind of self-respect that won't allow you to be diminished or disrespected, the kind of boundaries that protect your energy and your peace. My intuition is telling me that as you embody this Queen of Swords energy, some relationships might fall away, some situations might end, and that's not failure. That's the clearing we talked about at the beginning. The wisdom here is that you can be both loving and firm, both compassionate and boundaried, both understanding and unwilling to accept less than you deserve. How to work with this energy is to practice speaking your truth in small ways first. Notice where you're people-pleasing or self-silencing and gradually build the muscle of authentic self-expression. The Emperor showed up, and this felt like the universe doubling down on the message about structure, authority, and taking command of your life. Capricorn, this is fundamentally your energy as an earth sign ruled by Saturn, but what I'm picking up is that you're being called to embody this archetype more fully than you have before. The imagery shows a figure seated on a throne, completely grounded and unmovable, someone who has built their kingdom through strategic planning and disciplined action. What this card reveals is that you have the ability to create whatever structure you need in your life, to establish systems that support your goals, to be the authority in your own life rather than constantly deferring to others. This connects powerfully to everything we've seen because the chariot gave you momentum, the prosperity cards showed you the destination, judgment transformed your identity, and now the Emperor is telling you exactly how to build the life you want, brick by brick, decision by decision, boundary by boundary. From what I'm interpreting, this is about stepping into leadership, whether that's in your career, your family, your community, or simply in your own life. In practical scenarios, this could manifest as starting your own business, taking on a leadership role at work, becoming the person who organizes and directs instead of waiting for someone else to take charge, or simply managing your life with the kind of discipline and structure that creates consistent results. The Emperor doesn't hope things work out. He makes them work out through planning, effort, and unwavering commitment to his vision. What's really powerful here is that this card often appears when someone is ready to stop being ruled by chaos or other people's agendas and start imposing order and intentionality on their circumstances. The emotional significance is that being in your Emperor energy feels stabilizing and empowering, like you're finally standing on solid ground after a long time of uncertainty. What I need you to understand is that this isn't about being controlling or rigid. It's about being self-governed, about knowing your values and making decisions that align with them regardless of external pressure. The guidance is to create structures in your life that support your success, to be strategic about your time and energy, to stop leaving important things to chance when you could be actively managing them toward your desired outcome. Four of Swords came through, and I felt this immediate sense of necessary rest and strategic retreat. This card shows a figure in repose, swords hanging above them, someone who is taking time to recover and recharge before the next phase of their journey. Capricorn, what I'm picking up is that even though everything we've seen points to massive success and transformation, you need to understand that rest is part of the strategy, not a deviation from it. The energy I'm sensing suggests you've been pushing yourself relentlessly, operating under the belief that any moment not spent in action is a moment wasted. And this card is telling you that's not sustainable and it's not even effective. From what I'm interpreting, you're being asked to build periods of rest and recovery into your plan, to recognize that your body, mind, and spirit need time to integrate all the changes happening. In real life, this looks like actually taking days off, getting adequate sleep, saying no to commitments that drain you, or simply creating space in your schedule that isn't filled with productivity. I'm seeing scenarios where you've been running on adrenaline and determination, and your body is starting to send signals that you need to slow down before it forces you to stop completely. The Four of Swords often appears as a gentle warning, a reminder that strategic rest prevents forced breakdown. What's interesting is that this card, in the context of all this abundance and transformation, suggests that you need to prepare yourself to receive, and you can't do that if you're constantly in doing mode. The psychological dimension here is about shifting from proving your worth through constant effort to knowing your worth is inherent and rest doesn't diminish it. What the cards want you to know is that taking time to rest, reflect, and recharge doesn't make you lazy or weak. It makes you strategic and wise. The guidance is to schedule rest the way you schedule work, to treat your recovery time as non-negotiable, to understand that the most powerful version of you is the well-rested version who can think clearly and act decisively. 10 of Wands appeared, and when I saw this card, I felt the weight you've been carrying. The imagery shows a figure burdened by 10 wands, barely able to see the path ahead. Someone who has taken on so much responsibility that they can barely move forward. Capricorn, this card is validation that yes, it has been heavy. Yes, you have been carrying more than your share. Yes, you are exhausted and perhaps questioning how much longer you can sustain this pace. What I'm picking up is that you've been in a phase where you took on everything, proved you could handle it, demonstrated your capability and reliability, but now you're reaching the breaking point where something has to give. This connects to the Four of Swords we just saw because the universe is showing you both the problem and the solution. You're overburdened and you need rest, you're overwhelmed, and you need to release some of what you're carrying. From what I'm sensing, part of the clearing and healing coming involves you finally putting down some of these burdens, delegating responsibilities, asking for help, or simply walking away from obligations that were never yours to carry in the first place. In real life, this might manifest as having honest conversations about workload, stepping back from commitments that no longer serve you, or releasing the need to prove yourself by taking on everything alone. I'm seeing situations where you've said yes when you wanted to say no, where you've accepted responsibility for things that weren't your problem, where you've carried other people's burdens because you're strong enough to do it. But strength doesn't mean you should. The emotional landscape here is exhaustion mixed with resignation, like you've accepted this is just how life is, but the cards are saying it doesn't have to be. What's happening beneath the surface is that carrying all this weight has become your identity, being the capable one, the reliable one, the one who can handle anything, and there's fear that if you put things down, you'll lose your value or purpose. What I need you to really hear is that your worth is not determined by how much you can carry or how much you do for others. The wisdom of the Ten of Wands is that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit you need help, that you've reached your limit, that you're willing to prioritize your well-being over other people's expectations. The guidance is to get really honest about what you're carrying and why, to identify what you can release or delegate, and to start saying no to new burdens so you can focus on your own healing and prosperity. The final card I pulled was the Moon, and this brought such an interesting energy to close the reading because the Moon is about intuition, the subconscious, and navigating uncertainty with faith. The imagery shows a path between two towers, a moon illuminating the way, creatures emerging from water, and the sense that not everything is as it appears. Capricorn, what I'm interpreting here is that even though we've seen all this clarity and structure and success in your reading, part of your journey involves learning to trust your intuition and be comfortable with not having all the answers. This is challenging for you because you like plans, you like knowing exactly what's happening and why. But the Moon is telling you that some things have to be felt rather than understood. Some paths have to be walked in faith rather than certainty. From what I'm sensing, you're being asked to pay attention to your dreams, your gut feelings, the subtle messages your subconscious is sending you, because they contain information your logical mind doesn't have access to. In practical terms, this means noticing when something feels off, even if you can't explain why, honoring your instincts about people and situations, or following urges that don't make logical sense but feel deeply right. The Moon often appears when someone is being prepared for something they can't fully see yet, when they're in the in-between phase where the old has ended but the new hasn't fully formed. This connects to everything we've seen because yes, massive transformation is coming. Yes, prosperity and healing are on the way, but the path there might not be linear or predictable. What's really significant here is that the Moon asks you to trust the process even when you can't see the full picture, to believe that things are working out even when evidence is unclear, to keep moving forward even when the path is dimly lit. The psychological dimension is about developing tolerance for ambiguity and uncertainty, about being okay with not knowing while still taking aligned action. What the cards want you to know is that your intuition is a powerful guide, possibly even more reliable than your logic in this next phase, and learning to listen to it will open doors that pure strategy never could. The wisdom here is that mystery doesn't mean danger. Uncertainty doesn't mean you're lost, and not having all the answers doesn't mean you're unprepared. How to work with this energy is to create practices that strengthen your intuitive connection, whether that's meditation, dream journaling, spending time in nature, or simply pausing to check in with how things feel rather than only analyzing how they think. Capricorn, as I look at these 10 cards together, I see such a powerful story of transformation, healing, and prosperity unfolding in your life. What started with the Chariot's determination is supported by emotional healing through the Queen of Cups, manifesting as the Ten of Pentacles abundance, catalyzed by Judgment's awakening, embodied through the Nine of Pentacles independence, protected by the Queen of Swords boundaries, structured by the Emperor's authority, balanced by the Four of Swords rest, released through the Ten of Wands letting go, and guided by the Moon's intuition. This isn't just about things getting better. This is about you becoming someone entirely new, someone who is aligned with their power, their worth, their purpose, The clearing happening in your life right now is making space for blessings you couldn't have received in your old state. The healing coming is preparing you for levels of success and happiness you couldn't have sustained before this transformation. What I'm picking up most strongly is that you've done the hard work, you've walked through the fire, you've carried the weight, and now the universe is ready to reward that dedication with tangible, lasting prosperity. Trust the process, honor your intuition, take care of yourself, and get ready to receive everything you've been working toward. This is your time, Capricorn, and the best is truly yet to come.